And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China!
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China! All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China!
Russian.
Russia!
Italian.
Italy!
German.
Germany!
Swedish.
Sweden!
Korean.
Korea!
Egyptian.
Egypt!
Nigerian.
Nigeria!
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the
Assalamualaikum. In the 13th tribe, Arthur Koestler traces the origin of Eastern Europe's Jewish population that was largely decimated by the Nazi onslaught during the Second World War. Through extensive research, he discusses the history of a trading empire that was set up by a tribe known as the Khazars. The Khazar Empire was located between the expanding power blocks of Christianity and Islam, and the people were converted to Judaism by their king as a way of standing apart from both. The Khazarians and their wealth were dispersed through the countries of Eastern Europe after the collapse of the Khazar Empire. The Khazarians were not a Semitic people, that they called themselves Jews after their conversion to Judaism is as absurd as the Chinese Muslims calling themselves Arabs.
I'm about to show you something extremely controversial. It's even illegal in the state of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, my DNA. Now, I bet you thought it was going to be a lot crazier than that.
This TikTok caused a storm online, with many debating what his results, which show no trace of being from Palestine or the Middle East, despite being Jewish, mean. DNA testing to prove Jewish ancestry is a hot-button political issue in Israel. For example, Israel's chief rabbinate has pushed for the ancestral DNA tests to be allowed to prove Jewishness in certain cases. In particular, many Jews have emigrated to Israel from the Soviet Union, who may not have had the necessary paperwork that shows they are Jewish, have sought to get genetic tests done to show they are Jews. In 2019, a political scandal erupted when it appeared Russian Jews were secretly submitting DNA tests to the rabbinate in order to obtain the right to move to Israel.
You say, well, where did the name Ashkenazi came from? So, a little over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world had now emigrated in Europe and now were living in the Rhineland in Germany, they looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany, so they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Japhet. It's just a name that was taken. Okay, it's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Michael Brown, I am Caucasian.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin or anything else. It was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island. The name got shortened to Brown. It's just a name. That's all it is. So the idea that Ashkenazi Jews are descended from Japhet is a myth, 100% false, zero truth to it. Just study the history.
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
You know, the DNA test that they've done on the Israelis that are living over there, they're Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews.
Without getting too semantic, or at the risk of getting too semantic, does it matter that the Jews are not Semites, or does this phrase anti-Semitism just means hatred for the Jewish people? They're Ashkenazi, they're Eastern European Jews.
I just had a rabbi give me an analogy. He said, look, imagine you left your home and then someone came and occupied it, and then you try to get it back, and then they went to the judge. Have you heard some of these analogies? Maybe you can.
Yeah, that's assuming that, you know, that's taking it to a place which I don't usually go. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago.
That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago.
You can convert to Judaism. You can't convert to a blood family. You cannot convert to a race. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is. Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
Judaism is a religion. That's all it is.
So we're supposed to we're just being told that anti-Semitism is now criticizing Israel. Anti-Semitism is anything they want it to be. They can't even define it. They admit in this bill that they've passed through the House that there's really truly no actual protection for Jews, but they're just making it up as they go because they want to say, well, but Semites, which we shouldn't even be using that word anymore because most Jews who practice the religion of Judaism or who are culturally Jewish, even if they don't practice the Jewish religion, but they're culturally Jewish, like many are culturally Christian. Many of us celebrate Christmas, but we're not Christian. That's cultural Christianity. It is what it is, right? They can't define it. They're putting all these rules on us. We shouldn't even allow them to use the term anti-Semitism. It's not real. Most of these Jews are not Semites.
That's what the Zionists did, except instead of a baseball team, they went to try to convince the Jews that the Jewish people are a nation, like France and like Spain. We'll get a land, that's Israel, that's our stadium. We'll get baseball bats and balls, we'll create a language. They sat down to create a language because nations need languages. They sat down to create a language because nations need languages. They sat down to create a language. They sat down to create a language.
They sat down to create a language.
There are Ashkenazi Jews who are entirely European in their DNA. That's why you're not allowed to have a DNA test in Israel, because it will reveal that virtually none of them are Semitic. Virtually none of them have any ancestral connection to the land. I was viciously assaulted by a manager in the BBC who had recently converted to Judaism. It's fine. I love all religions. But you can't say I've now converted to Judaism And therefore I have a right to go to the land of Palestine and live in the house of someone whose ancestors have been living in it for thousands of years.
The religion created the Jewish people. The definition of a Jewish person is somebody who is transformed by receiving the Torah.
How about you? Are you a white Jew?
So we could elaborate on this debate. I'm going to try to stay sort of in the pocket here, one thing at a time. But am I white passing? Absolutely. How we're going to define
you say you're white passing.
We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make Israel great again,
and we're going to make Israel great again.
We're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before.
And you know what else, Jim? I just want to say this to our Christian friends, you know, just to call it as it is and say it straight out, you know, you guys are worshiping one Jew. That's a mistake. You should be worshiping every single one of us, because we all die for your sins every single day. And that's exactly what's going on here. Yeah. We're all God's firstborn, and we're dying for your sins right now because the Jewish people in the land of Israel are the bulwark against the orcs. Mm-hmm. Okay? The orcs are coming not to a theater near you, but to your home.
This world and the next world are asymmetrical. The next world is where the majority of a person's actions, which determine his identity, are compensated. For the righteous, they exist in the world to come and they're rewarded. And for those whose major complexion is black, are excluded from the world to come.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them. With the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah, with
the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact,
want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Let me adjust my mic here. I know that I didn't get a chance to put this on a calendar to schedule this live, but I still wanted to do a live. Didn't want to go a week without doing at least one of these lives. I know I did a live sitting in my car, but, I wanted to at least do a live tonight, just to really cover something here that I was just thinking about and decided to explore it, just really explore it. And it really made me think about what I'm getting ready to share with you guys. Now, as you see on the caption for us, the title for us, within the image that's on your screen, the 1948ers don't honor Jubilees. Family, this is important. I was thinking about it. I was like, wait a minute. You know what? I never saw any type of headlines, any type of captions or anything that suggests that the 1948ers celebrate Jubilees. Have you guys thought about that? Have you ever thought about, man, I just thought, I never heard these guys celebrate Jubilees. Have you guys thought about that? That you never seen them celebrate Jubilees? I've never saw them celebrate it. And that's very alarming. That's a key piece of information right there. Jubilees is very important. Let me give a little just a little, just share a little nugget with you. How many of you guys are familiar with the Messiah when he said, "How many times do you forgive a person?" And he said, how many times, family? 70 times 7. 70 times 7. Do you guys know that passage, right? If you know that passage, just type 1. 70 times 70. If you're familiar with that passage, type 1. If you're not, type 2. But 70 times 70. If I have enough time, matter of fact, I'll see if I can put it inside this presentation. Let me see here. 70 times 70. Do I have it here? But 70 times 70. I may not have enough time to put it in here, but it's all good. 70 times 70. Now, have you guys thought about why did the Messiah come up with or just mention 70 times 70 to as the baseline for forgiving someone? Have you guys thought about that? 70 times 7. Well, for those that may not know this, the Messiah always taught from the law and the prophets. This is what is called the Bible today, as far as the Old Testament. Fact of the matter is, they didn't have a term called New Testament. That is a 2nd century, 3rd century creation, as far as that construct, that title, to separate the law and the prophets because of the Romans, the foreigners who hijacked a culture that did not belong to them. So in their religion that they created called Christianity, Catholicism, they wanted to make sure that they separated themselves from the true people of the book, the Israelites, our ancestors. So they created that delusion. They really did not want to have the law and the prophets connected to what they deemed to be the New Testament. But one of the challenges they would have faced is that it would have been a new religion. It would not have been considered an ancient religion similar to Islam. It would have made it only maybe, 2 or 3 centuries older than Islam. So when you start really unpacking this here, and why I brought this up is the Messiah, all he taught from was the law and the prophets. He did not teach from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The disciples themselves did not teach from Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They taught from the law and the prophets and Paul. You can confirm this in the book of Acts. He taught out of the law and the prophets to confirm the Messiah. So they did not have what they call a New Testament set of scrolls that they taught from. They taught from the law and the prophets, which today is referred to the Old Testament. So when you understand 70 times 70, the question that you have to ask is, why did the Messiah bring up 70 times 70? Where's he getting this from? Well, family, this is when you understand jubilees. Jubilees. This is where you get to understand jubilees. Because 70 times 70 ties into Jubilees. And the Messiah is making it clear, if your brother, and I'm saying when I say brother, synonymous with brother and sister, when we start dealing with repentance, 70 times 70, right? And it connects right to Jubilees. Also, it connects to the Day of Atonement, which you'll find that in Leviticus 23. The Day of Atonement. That's the day that all of Israel come together for repentance, for forgiveness and repentance. See, this is why one of my pet peeves is, and you guys probably notice, you don't see me participating in any corporate or national prayers, especially when I know that the individuals don't honor feast days. How can you have a corporate prayer and you don't honor feast day? You don't honor the Day of Atonement, because Day of Atonement is a day of forgiveness. It is a day of repentance. So if you don't honor the feast days that the Most High created and you want to create your own, then you're doing exactly what the church has done by creating Easter, by creating Christmas. And matter of fact, that's what got the Israelites in trouble when you read Amos chapter 5. They were taking and mixing and meshing beliefs and practices of other nations to the law and the prophets, to how they carried out honoring Shabbat, to honoring feast days. And the Most High said, I don't recognize that. He said, I reject that. And there's a judgment that was declared on that towards the Israelites for doing those things. So when we understand this, it's so important. It's really basic. So I said to myself, I said, wait a minute. And I thought about it. I said, wait a minute. They don't honor Jubilees. And they came up with a reason why they don't honor Jubilees. And we're going to touch on it here. I don't have my presentation fully together like I would normally do, but I have enough to where as though I can kind of piece it together as we go along. All right. So the 1948ers, they don't honor Jubilees. And that is a major sign that they're not the people of the book. Now, let me knock down a couple of things real quick for some of our brothers and sisters that may be in, taking on these talking points that there's no such thing as a chosen people. Yes, there's a chosen people. And if you read Deuteronomy chapter 7, you'll see that, I believe going down around verse 6, verse 7, you'll see the Most High makes it clear that Israel is his chosen people, not that Israel that we see today. This Israel, not the church, because that's not biblical. If the church replaced Israel, the true bloodline Israelites, then the Messiah broke his promise to Abraham. Let me say that again. If Israel became spiritual, or the so-called church is now supposedly be the new Israel, then the Most High broke his promise to Abraham. The Most High never broke his promise to Abraham, which means that bloodline Israel is always here. So how does this interfere or throw a monkey wrench per se into who to these name stealers, to the 1948ers? How does this affect them? Especially when you understand the law of return. Let's highlight a couple of things. All right. What is the importance? Let me go ahead and zoom the screen in real quick. What is the importance of honoring the Shabbat? What is the importance? Now, family, this is something that some of you guys may not know, right, and understand. all you guys are familiar with is the so-called 3 Abrahamic faiths, right? Abrahamic religions. If you are familiar with them, type 1. If you're not familiar with them, type 2. All right. If you're familiar with the Abrahamic faiths, type 1. If you're not, type 2. I'm going to explain it anyway. But this is key here. This is key. This is key. Sister Yvette said 1, she's familiar with it. Israelite Gamer, 1 familiar with the elder in the building, holding down California. And matter of fact, I think I saw a super chat. Thank you for the love and support, Amma. Appreciate you. Thank you for the love and support. She says 1, that she's familiar with it. Berean Scholar family, I encourage you guys, subscribe to Berean Scholar's channel. Let's get him over 1,000. He's right there on the cusp of transitioning over to 1,000 subscribers, which unlocks additional features in YouTube, because they've changed a lot with YouTube, that certain features does not open up until you get a minimum of 1,000 subscribers. And believe it or not, certain features still haven't opened up to me. Like monetization didn't open up until I hit over 30,000 subscribers, when technically it's supposed to be 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 views, video hours or something to that effect. And I was way past that, right? So they do a number of different things to try to suppress our channel. So I encourage you guys, and I'm going to drop the link to you, Berean Scholar and Sister Carol. I see you guys in the chat, brother. My brother holding it down, Jay High Style. I'll drop the link here inside the chat if you guys want to jump on. But again, let's Berean Scholar, drop your link inside the comment section. And also Yaquaba. I didn't even know he had a channel. I just so happened looked at my mentions, and I went to his channel. He's building his channel up and putting some content on there. So shout outs to you, my brother, as well. All right. So Yaquaba, he says he's familiar with it. Sister Carol in the building says she's familiar with it. Let's see here. Nicholas said he's familiar with it. Mr. The Original Old School says he's familiar with it. Our Linda says she's familiar with it. Jay Smooth, familiar with it. Yolanda, shout outs to you, familiar with it. Lamira, familiar with it. Mphaya, excuse me, familiar with it. So pretty much you guys, we all familiar with it. Let me see here. Two House of Israel, familiar with it. Matter of fact, I have a few here that's not. Sister Kim Etheridge, not familiar with it. So we're going to give clarity on it. Victor Ban Yahawadah, familiar with it. Let's see here. Pure Repentance, familiar with it. Brother Enoch, familiar with it. Ingrid, familiar with it. Greens and Grains, familiar with it. My buddy Jay High Style in the building, familiar with it. So you guys are pretty much familiar with it. And I'm trying to get as much as I can in here, because the chat is growing more and more. People are starting to tune into the video. Fresh Springs, familiar with it. Let's get a couple more in. Justin Eyes to See, familiar with it. King Khalid, familiar with it. Sarah, let me make sure I pronounce this correct. Saraf Ban Yahawadah, familiar with it. Excuse me for butchering your name. My apologies. Like the old school says, charge it to my head, not to my heart. Robert Henry, familiar with it. All right. So for those that may not be familiar with the so-called Abrahamic faiths, right? The Abrahamic so-called faiths are Judaism, which Abraham did not create, nor did he practice. Israel, as far as let me rewind a little bit. Isaac didn't practice this. Jacob didn't practice this. Esau, because he was under his father's house. Isaac did not practice this. None of them practiced this Judaism stuff. Then when we get to the time of the Messiah did not practice Judaism. Judaism is a religion. They did not practice this Judaism stuff, nor did they practice Christianity or Catholicism. They did not also practice Islam. So all of those are supposed to be part of the Abrahamic faith. And guess what? Again, none of the ancient Israelites practiced any of this stuff. And we see the results of this delusion. Why is this important? Why is this important to know, especially when we start getting to understanding what the Shabbat is? Do you know, family, out of all the commandments, only one commandment the Most High had to reiterate, remember. And also, out of all the commandments, this is the only commandment that was referred to as being a sign. Yes, family, I'm going to show you that here in the scriptures, right? So what is the importance of honoring the Shabbat? Because now we're getting into jubilees and all of this, and you cannot say that you understand the Most High or you're doing the things to please the Father if you don't honor Shabbat. So what's the importance of honoring Shabbat? I'm glad you guys asked the question. We're going to go in. Exodus chapter 31, verse 13. Look at this here. Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Shabbats, right? As you see here, Shabbat wath, that's the ancient pronunciation of this. And I'm going to do a special teaching on this. When I say this, ancient Hebrew, because I saw a debate, between a couple of people from our community, and I want to do some teaching on it, because there was a debate between ancient Hebrew versus this Israeli stuff that's being taught. And some of the things that was said to support this Israeli stuff is so easy to respond to, but we'll get to that. We'll do a special teaching on that. So speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Shabbats, Shabbat wath. Wath is the feminine plural. So this is saying plural. So this includes not just the 7-day Shabbat. This also deals with the feast days. All right. So speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Shabbats ye shall keep. And you see the Hebrew word shamar. Shamar means execute. So when you see this word keep, just put it in your notes or put it in your tablet. Or if you have a Bible that you flip pages on, guess what? Write this in there. Write execute. That gives more clarity on exactly what the Most High is saying. So he's saying, speak thou also to the children of Israel, saying, verily my Shabbats, which includes the feast days, because they are Shabbats. And you can confirm this with Leviticus chapter 23. Ye shall keep shamar. In other words, ye shall execute. Ye shall execute what? The Shabbats. For it is a sign, awath, right? Awath, in many cases, you'll see off between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahweh that doeth sanctify you. Now, in this text, the Most High really took the time to really explain this to Moses. Now, some of you guys probably heard this in church. Oh, that's the law of Moses. No, this is not the law of Moses. This is the laws, statutes, and commandments that was given to Moses. Let me give you another nugget, because Christianity will teach that the Most High gave Israel a separate covenant versus the covenant that he gave to Abraham. See, religion, starting with Christianity, Catholicism, we could really say Catholicism. Christianity stems from Catholicism. That word Christianity is a 10th century word. It's not even a word from the 2nd, 3rd century. But nevertheless, we know that Christianity, especially when we start getting into the evangelicals, the Protestants, when we start getting into those different movements, the Reformation, all of that comes from their branches from Catholicism. That's a fact. They're practicing Catholicism. And I may even copy over insert some text here to show you that all of them know that they're supposed to honor Shabbat. Right? They know it. They know that the Shabbat was not done away with. All right? So the key here is when you go to, I believe, Exodus chapter 34, you will see that the commandments, right? The 10 commandments. The 10 commandments, they are the words of the Most High. Those are the words of the covenant. The 10 commandments is the words of the covenant. So when you understand this and you understand Abraham, you will read that Abraham honored the law, statutes, and commandments. He was told by the Most High to walk before him and be holy. And that Abraham also what? Held and took the charge. He executed. He honored the law, statutes, and commandments. Well, wait a minute. How can he honor the law, statutes, and commandments? Wait a minute. What about the law of Moses? Again, the laws that was given to Moses to give to the Israelites. But guess what? All of the covenant started with Abraham. The words of the covenant is the 10 commandments. So this tells you the 10 commandments were already in place, starting with Abraham. That's pretty simple. Abraham honored the law, statutes, and commandments, starting with the foundational 10. This foundational 10 did not start with Israel, as far as Moses handing this down to Israel. No, this, we see that the Most High gave it to Abraham because it's the same covenant. But the church will have you believe that this is a new covenant was given. No, it's a renewal of what? The covenant that was given to Abraham. Come on, family. It's just that simple. So when we get to this, this particular passage here, the Shabbat, let me take this down here real quick. Let's rewind it here. Right? This is what's important here. This is very important. Look at this here. Verse 18. Verse 18. Look at this. And he gave unto Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, 2 tables of testimony, tables of stone, written with the finger of Elohim. So these 2 tables are the 10 commandments. And matter of fact, look at the caption here. These were the 10 commandments, 5 on one stone and 5 on the other. They were written with the fingers of who? Yahweh. It didn't say written with the fingers of Moses. It was written with the fingers of Yahweh. But Christianity and Catholicism will give you the impression as if Moses is the authoritative of the 10 commandments, the authoritative of the covenant. No, this is before Moses even came into existence. This was given to Abraham. Anyway, now look at this here, family. Just to show you, the Most High is not playing when it comes to his commandments, right? So we'll start at verse 14. I already read verse 13, but look at what it says. I'm just going to highlight it over here. Let's go over here. It says here, you shall keep, there we see that again. You shall keep, shamar, execute the Shabbat. Therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone who defiles it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. Now look at this here, verse 15. 6 days may work be done. Now, I can prove to you that Cain and Abel honored the Shabbat, which we already know, because in the process, right? That's what you see in the process of time. What is the process of time? 6 days. So in the process of time, after those 6 days, they prepared their offering, their burnt offering, right, to the Most High. That was on the Shabbat. They were honoring Shabbat. 6 days may be work done in the process of time, but in the 7th is the Shabbat of rest, holy to Yahweh. Whosoever does any work in the Shabbat, he shall surely be put to death. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep. There we see that word keep again, shamar, shall what? Execute the Shabbat, to observe the Shabbat throughout their generations for a what? Perpetual covenant, ongoing. That's what it's telling us. It's an ongoing covenant. You'll see the Hebrew word awalam. I'm saying it from the ancient Hebrew pronunciation of it. Awalam, which also transliterates to the word forever. And then it says here, it is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. In the 6 days, right? Look at this. In the process, right? We're dealing with the process. In the process of time, that process of time is in 6 days, Yahweh made heaven and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed. And I may copy those passages over here because I just did a teaching on this internally at our assembly, right? So that process of, in the process of time, that is what? Those 6 days. Okay, so we see here that the Most High is the authoritative one, not Moses. All right, so let's continue here. Sign. What does the word sign mean? The Hebrew definition of the word sign. Look at this here. It says a signal, evidence, mark, miracle, proof. That's what a sign is. Simply put, evidence. It is proof. So when you're reading, for example, Revelation chapter 1, when you see I am the Alpha and Omega, that's Greek. That's Greek. That is not a Hebraic school of thought. The actual Hebraic school of thought is I am the Ah and the what? Tha. The Ah and the Tha, the Alap and the Tha, which those two letters come together and form the word sign. So what that is saying or telling us or reminding us that the Most High is the source of all signs. All signs come from who? The Father. What are some of the key things that occurred on the Shabbat? Starting with the resurrection of the Messiah. He was resurrected on what day? The Shabbat. He revealed himself to his disciples on what day? The Shabbat. When he transfigured before them. It was done on the Shabbat. That's a major sign. So this word sign, from a Hebraic school of thought, a signal, evidence, mark, miracle, proof. Okay. Let's look at the word Shabbat. Now, I know some would try to tell you it's Sabbath. No, it's Shabbat. It's not Shabbat. It's not Sabbath. Sabbath is a Greek pronunciation of it. The word is Shabbat. TH. Shabbat is a different word. Scepter, people. That's what Shabbat means. But Shabbat, TH, as you see here, primitive root word, you see the Shah, Shabbath, not Sabbath. But look at what it says. It means desist, cease. But this is one of the things that you guys don't hear many talking about when it comes with defining the word Shabbat. It means to what? Celebrate. Then we see this word keep again. Keep, in other words, Shabbat. In other words, what this is saying, execute. So the Shabbat is a day of celebration. The feast days are what? Shabbats, which is what? A day of celebrations. Whether it's the Feast of Tabernacles, whether it's the Passover, whether it's the blowing of the trumpets, all of those are what? Part of our celebration, corporate celebration to the Most High. So when you see cease, so that means cease of what? Any work, cease from anything that will take us away from focusing on the Most High. Anything, starting with work. Guess what? Some of your problems when you go into enter it into the assembly to worship the Father on the Shabbat. Guess what? You're supposed to cast down any imagination, cast down any thoughts, cast down any problems you were dealing with, because if you steady focusing on your problems, you're still focusing on you. That means you're not celebrating the Father. Now you're making the Shabbat all about you. No, you're supposed to cease from all of that and focus your undivided attention on the Father. He says in his word that he inhabits the praises of his people. So while you're celebrating and he enters in and inhabits those praises, the Father's bringing healing, right? He's bringing healing. When the Father enters in, he never leaves it leave it the way that it was before he entered in. So nevertheless, celebrate, right? When we see the word keep, cross it out, put execute. Rest, make to rest. Still, take away. And then when we go to the Greek definition of this word, sabbaton, right? As you see here, sabbaton, Sabbath, right? But it tells us that it comes from the Hebrew word Shabbath. And it spells it out, Shabbath. Now, of course, it's not spelled with two B's, family, because it's only one bayath in the word. That's why you see me spell it SHA-BATH, just to make sure that you guys get the pronunciation correct and that there's no two B's in it. But anyway, Shabbath here, the Sabbath, it says here, an example, Shabbath. Or it says here, day of weekly repose from secular avocations. So this is what this is saying is the weekly Shabbat, the 7th-day Shabbat. Also the observance or institution itself by extension, but this is where it starts getting into clarity that the intervals between two Shabbats. Likewise, the plural in all above the application. So this goes on to say that Shabbat can be a day. Shabbat can be a week, right? Shabbat also can be a month. Shabbat is also a year. That's important, family, for you to understand. As you see here, it says here, a single Shabbat, Sabbath day, right? 7 days, a week. So we see a day, we see a week, but it doesn't highlight the month, the years. And we're going to cover the year. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 25, starting at verse 1. Look at this, family. And Yahweh spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them. Now, this is dealing with the 7th year Shabbat, as you see up here, right? 7th year Shabbat. And they are not honoring this in Israel. Have you seen them honor the 7th-day Shabbat over there? Because all they've been doing since the 1948 has been there is war. They've been warring the whole time. Have you seen them have a 7th year Shabbat to allow the land to recover? See, when it's not your heritage, you tend to be more reckless with something that's not really yours. It's almost like if someone borrow your car, right? They're not going to take care of your car like you take care of your car. The way that I was raised, if you borrow anything from someone, like a car, whatever, bring it back better than what they had when they gave it to you. For example, if the car, right, when people would let me borrow their car when I was in the military, whether it's to go just simply to the commissary, I would take their car over to the car wash their car, put Armor All on it. I will vacuum the car out, fill it up with gas, and bring their car back to them. And guess what? The word got around. It seemed like everybody wanted me to borrow their cars because of the way that I took care of it. Because that's how I was taught. But most people don't have that approach. So you don't see them honoring the 7th year Shabbat. And look at what it says here. It says, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Shabbat. In other words, execute a Shabbat unto Yahweh. 6 years, right? Here we go. That process, right? The process of time. And that process, what is the process? 6 years. Now, when I mentioned, Cain and Abel in the passages that I shared with you initially, and the process represented what? 6 days. But in this case, in the process of time, 6 years, thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune in the vineyard and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Shabbath of rest unto the land, a Shabbath for Yahweh. Look at this, a Shabbath for who? Yahweh. This is his Shabbath, a Shabbath year. Thou shalt neither sow thy field. In other words, you're not going to plant anything. Don't plant anything. As you see here, don't prune anything. Just let it grow. Don't plant any new seeds. Don't try to prune for that whole year. You just let everything grow out. Look at what it says, verse 5, that which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest, thou shalt not reap. So let it grow out. Let it grow out. But don't try to go back over it and try to what? Reap the harvest. Don't try to go there and try to gather up. No, let it grow. Leave it alone for a year. These are some principles we can even use for our investments, our finances. When you're saving money, leave it alone. When you have those accounts, savings account, don't touch it. See if you can have the discipline not to touch it for an entire year and see how much you'll save. See how much you save. Guess what? I did that. And the Most High has blessed me. I always did my tithes. So then I'll take an extra 10% and I'll put that into savings, whether it's investing in stocks, whatever the case may be. I'll put an extra 10% to myself. I'll give the Most High his, and then I will what? Take another portion of that and put it into what? Savings, investing. 10% of my income. So even when I get increases, I automatically put those increases into investments. So while a lot of people were stressing over their investments over the few months ago, I took a look at mine. I got nothing but increases during that time. You have to let everything rest. For that 1 year, just test it out, family. But let me get back to this. So it says here, that which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest, thou shalt not reap, neither gather the grapes of thy vine, undressed, for it is a shana, in other words, year of Shabbath unto the land. Verse 6, and the Shabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee and for thy servant, for thy maid, for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee, and for the cattle, and for the beasts that are in thy land, shall all the increase thereof be meat. All right. So, but let's transition to another key. See, that's the 1 year Shabbat. But now let's get into Jubilees. Look at what it says about Jubilees. And you're going to see why you don't see these guys, the 1948ers, right? They don't honor this right here. And I'm going to show you why. Leviticus 25, verse 8. Look at this. And thou shalt number 7 Shabbat or Shabbats, right? Number 7 Shabbat of years unto thee 70 times 7 years. Wait a minute. Doesn't that sound familiar? Didn't the Messiah say, Hamashiach say 70 times 7? Look at what we see here. 70 times 7 in the space of the 7 Shabbat. In other words, Shabbat of years shall be unto thee 40 and 9 years. So it's saying 49 years. 49 years. So we were told to forgive someone 70 times 7, but it said in a day. 70 times 7. But the Messiah is what? He's teaching from what? The book of Leviticus, right? And he's teaching the law of what? Jubilee. Because Jubilee means what? You're forgiven. That's debt forgiveness. And this occurs during Day of Atonement. Look at this here. All right. Let's go to verse 9. Then shalt thou cause the trumpet of the Yahwabal, which is Jubilee. This is the pronunciation of it in ancient Hebrew. Yahweh, to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. Wait a minute. So this is being blown. Look, I'll just read it again. In the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. This is all occurring around, as we see here, the Day of Atonement. So, family, I'll say this again. For those that want to do corporate prayers, start with honoring the Day of Atonement. Let's do a corporate prayer, a corporate day of forgiveness, a corporate day of repentance on the Day of Atonement. If you're not honoring the Day of Atonement, then I don't want to participate in any type of corporate prayer, because we are in sin, because we're disregarding the things that pleases the Most High. Now, if we're honoring the Day of Atonement and then we do corporate prayers outside of that, I have no problem with doing that. But I'm not going to participate in prayer groups that don't honor the very thing that pleases the Most High. Anyway, as we see here, then shalt thou cause the trumpet of Yahweh, Jubilee, to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month, and the Day of Atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. Look at this here. Verse 10. And ye shall quadash. And ye shall quadash, in other words, hallow, holy, the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land. In other words, freedom throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a Yahweh, in other words, jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. So look at this here. Every possession that you own that belonged to someone else, you're supposed to turn it back over to them. Now you see why you don't see them celebrating the year of Jubilee there? Because they're not the original people. The 1948ers are not the original people. They would have to turn back that land back over to the original owners. Does that make sense, everyone? That right here just slam dunks it. They are not original to that territory. They're not original to that land. They are not original to that land. So again, when just reading this here, and we're going to finish spelling it out here, so when we understand what I just read to you, only the bloodline descendants of the 12 tribes were granted inheritance within this land. So at the year of Jubilee, all land returns to its original bloodline owners. Any foreigners holding land must release it. Guess what? These guys are foreigners. These guys are supposed to what? Release that land. Now, we do know, when we take it a step further, when we start understanding who's there right now, right? We got the Palestinians that's on the land as well. Many of them were there before the 1948ers arrived. But guess what? Many of those Palestinians, they are the product of an Arabic invasion. Let me say that again. And this is not throwing any shade at any of them. They are the product of the Arabic invasion. They are the product of the Ottoman invasion. They are not the original. Now, are there some original Palestinians? Yes, look just like you and I. I share with you guys the video. I didn't have time to put the clip in here of 1925 Jerusalem. How did those people look? So let me read this again. And ye shall quadash, in other words, hallow, make this thing holy, the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. So if they're enslaved, you got to release them, right? You got to release them. You got to release them, set them free. And Yahweh, in other words, Jubilee shall be, shall that 50th year be unto you. Ye shall not sow. In other words, during this 50th year of Jubilee, you're not going to what? Plant seeds. You're not planting any seeds. Neither reap that which groweth of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of thy vine undressed. For it is Yahweh, in other words, Jubilee. It shall be quadash, holy unto you. Ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. In the year of Yahweh, ye shall return every man unto his possession. Oh man, do we see that again, family? That's a mic drop right here. That's a major nugget for those that are not picking up on this. That's a major nugget. That is a major nugget. That's a major nugget. That's a major nugget to prove that these people are not the people of the book and why they don't want to celebrate Jubilee. But you know what? I can't just stop right here. Let's see what they say about why they don't honor Jubilee. Let's go to their Talmud, Arakan 32b. Also, it's in 33b as well, from 32b to 33b. Arakan, and I encourage you guys to peep it out. I'll drop the link. Matter of fact, I'll drop the link right now into the comment section. And you guys can vet this information. All right, I just dropped the link here. So let's see what this says here. Let's see what it says. Let's go here. I'm not going to read it all because it's a lot. Look at what it says here. The Baratia or Barita, however you want to pronounce it, cited earlier teachings that the Jews began counting the Jubilee year upon their return from exile. Well, if that's the case, if they're saying that they're the people, and they're saying they began to count their years coming back from exile, okay. Let's before I elaborate on it, let's read some additional words of this text. The Gemara asks, but did they count sabbatical years and jubilee years in the days of Ezra? Now, if from the time that the tribe of Reuben and the tribe of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh were exiled, and notice they highlight First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 26. Counting the counting of Jubilee years was nullified despite the fact that a majority of Jews lived in Eretz, in other words, this land, Israel. Then in the time of Ezra, about which it is written, the whole congregation together was 4,360, right? And they highlight Ezra for that as a source. Would they have counted Jubilee years? So what is this saying? What they teach is that they don't honor Jubilees because all of the tribes are not gathered together. That's when Jubilees would be celebrated, when all the tribes are gathered together. Family, that's a hustle. Why do I say it's a hustle? because that word Jew is being used synonymously to the word Israel, to all of Israel. If they were truly seeking to bring all the 12 tribes together, guess what? Guess what? Things would be completely different, because they know the 12 tribes, they are you and I. They know if they really sought to bring together all 12 tribes, they are Negroes, right? This is where we get this proposition here that this rabbi made to a group of Igbo elders who are Israelites. Look at this.
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient Israel, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said.
No, we don't have.
So many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
See, one thing that I have observed by the 1948ers, whenever they go throughout Africa and they start discovering the true or locating the true original tribes of Israel, they always want to insert themselves as being the authoritative. Oh, we're going to give them Torah. We're going to give them their own copy of Torah. Wait a minute. The Beta Israel already had their copy. They've been practicing Torah. But you're going to give them a copy of Torah so that way they can practice Judaism according, they want to teach them how to approach the scriptures according to them. That's the whole hustle, family. As you see here, they don't honor Jubilees, because that means that they have to relinquish that property. They never honored it since they've been in that land. They never honored the 7th year Shabbat at all. There's some prophecies in Ezekiel that really touches on these things. Not going to go into it tonight. But family, they know that all these possessions, the land is supposed to be turned back over to the original Israelites. Supposed to be turned back over to the original Israelites. Guess what? Foreigners had no permanent land inheritance. All land reverted back to the original Israelite families during Jubilees. So Israelites enslaved to foreigners, guess what? They were freed at Jubilees. Foreigners enslaved to Israelites did not automatically gain freedom at Jubilees unless voluntarily freed. The Jubilee primarily protected the covenant people of Yashara'al while allowing foreigners to dwell as guests under the law, statutes, and commandments. They were able to occupy a particular territory under whatever tribe that they connected with. But guess what? That territory still was owned by the 12 tribes. Well, technically the 11, because the Levites, they did not have an inheritance. All right, so let me drop this link. I forgot to drop this link. Sister Carol, if you're still there, and Brian Scholar, if you're still there, Jay High Stuff, you guys, if you want to jump on, let me drop this link real quick. All right. All right. So, family, this is important. This is important. Now, here's another fact. None of these so-called Abrahamic faiths honor Shabbat. Christianity, they don't honor Shabbat. Catholicism, Christian, I like to say them both together, Christian Catholic Church, they don't honor Shabbat. Judaism, they don't truly honor Shabbat. Because as you see, they don't honor the 7th year Shabbat. They don't honor the year of Jubilee. So they're not honoring Shabbat. They put their own spins to it. The Muslims, Islam, guess what? The Islam, right? They don't honor Shabbat. That's a fact. So none of the so-called Abrahamic faiths truly honor the Shabbat. If the name stealers or the 1948ers were truly honoring Shabbat, number one, we'll see a 7th year rest of the land. We won't see them trying to decimate the land. We'll also see a 50-year time of Jubilee, turning the land back over to the original owners. Family, it's just that simple. It is just that simple. Just that simple. So nowhere in Torah does Yahweh say Jubilee stops if tribes are missing. Let me say that again. There's nowhere in Scripture that says that Jubilee stops if any of the tribes are missing. But again, the Talmud uses this as an excuse. In other words, tribes being missing, so to speak, to avoid honoring this command, honoring this charge. So just this in itself, we can use this to debunk them being the people of the book. And I know some of our brothers and sisters will say, hey, the Most High used them to preserve. No, they created their own Torah. That's why they call it the Talmud. That is their law book. Let me bring my sister on here. I see her in the back. Let me bring Sister Carol on. Peace and blessings, Sister Carol in the building. How you doing, sis?
Peace and blessing, brother. You're teaching hard tonight, rather.
Yeah, I had to bring this out because I was just, I'm not sure if you caught me when I mentioned that I was just thinking about it. I was like, I don't recall these guys ever having a 7th year Shabbat, nor have I ever heard them celebrate Jubilee.
None of that.
Because if they truly honor Jubilee, they know that they're not the originators there. That means that they would have to turn back all that land that they have stolen back to the original.
Exactly. And that's the real atonement. The true atonement by doing that.
Exactly. So they're not even, when they call themselves honoring the Day of Atonement, which is coming up pretty soon, they're not truly honoring it.
No.
They're profaning it.
Exactly. They profane all the feast days. Let's keep it real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Day of Atonement is the most highest, holiest time period of all the feast days.
Let me see here. Just while you was mentioning that, I was going to pull up.
I tried to do StreamYard on my laptop, but it wouldn't let me come in. That was weird.
Let me bring up some notes from the Day of Atonement. Do I have it here? thought I had it in this one. Let me pull up another. I didn't realize I got thousands of presentations.
Yes, you do.
I was like, what? I was like, man, I was getting it in.
Oh, you asking me to go look up a video like, oh, I need a scuba dive outfit to go deep into your video to look for stuff, and a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
You are overflowing.
Let me see here. I'm just trying to pull up these passages here. All right. So family, let me pull up the law or the commandments for the Day of Atonement. All right. Let me pull this up here. And as I read with Jubilees, right? Day of Atonement, right? This is a special trumpet is supposed to be sounding.
Right. Exactly.
You're supposed to blow the trumpet during Jubilees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's supposed to blow that shofar. All right, let's see here. All right, let's pull it up here. So Leviticus 23, chapter 23, verse 27, 28. Also on the 10th day of the 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement, right? Kapar Yam. And it shall be an holy Quadash convocation, Makwara or Makwara'ah unto you, and ye shall afflict your soul and offer an offering made by unto fire, made by fire unto Yahweh. So we see here the Day of Atonement. This is how it's supposed to be honored.
Right.
It's a day of repentance. It's a corporate day of repentance. Let me see if I have 28 in here. Look at this. And ye shall do no work in the same day, for it is a day of atonement. So this is telling us that we're supposed to treat this as a what? Shabbat.
Right.
To make an atonement for you before Yahweh, your Elohim. But again, we see here the 10th day of the 7th month. Now let's go back to Jubilees. And it's all circled around the Shabbat. Let's go back to Jubilees. On that 50th day of atonement, it says here, then shalt thou cause the trumpet of Yahweh, in other words, Jubilee, to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of what? Atonement. So you see the connection between the Day of Atonement and the Day of Jubilee, the year of Jubilee. You also see the connection of when the Messiah was teaching 70 times 70, or 70 times 7, excuse me. So he's teaching out of this chapter because that is like that what? Forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts, sis?
Right on it. Can be any clearer than that. It reads for itself. Well, this is let you know they do not follow Torah. They follow their own Torah. The one they created.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't be fooled if you hear anyone share the thought that these name stealers, or should I say 1948ers.
Yes, I like that.
That they preserved Torah. They preserved the culture. No, they didn't. They created their own culture. They interpolated the culture.
Right.
And matter of fact, did I take it down? Yeah, I took it down. I thought I still had it up here. Some comments from the name stealers, or should I say the 1948ers, about Torah, about the Talmud. I'm hearing a lot of feedback on your mic against
I
this.
know, doing it again. It's StreamYard. Every time I get on StreamYard now, it does it on your channel. That's weird.
Have you tried launching it in a different browser?
I'm using my phone. I tried to do it on my laptop. It wouldn't let me come onto my laptop at all. It was blocking me.
Oh, wow.
I did it on my phone, and now it's doing this reverb thing again.
Do you have a Google? Do you have Google on your app on your
It's going through Google.
Yeah, because they have a browser. You know, they have their Chrome browser app as well. Because you know, not Microsoft, but Apple has their default browser.
Yeah, it's
But
Safari, but it still has Google powered through Safari. But no, this is going through Chrome.
Okay.
I don't know why it's doing that. It's weird. Let me try it on my laptop again. Let me find the link.
Okay.
Let's see that.
All right, I'm gonna hit mute real quick just so that way while you're fixing that, because I can hear the feedback.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, family, let me do a little refresher here, because I know that there may be someone that may see this video that's really not familiar with this information that I'm going to share. Let me share this here. Let me prove to you guys that the name stealers are not the people of the book. Let me see here. Let me copy this over here. Where is it? Where's my presentation? Where is it? Bear with me 1 second, family. I'm gonna bring up this. Yeah. And you guys probably remember this. Is that the one I want? Let me see this one right here. So let me bring this up here. You guys probably remember this. This is coming. Some of these notes are coming from the video I did called Blotted Out. But let me just highlight a couple of things just for those that may come in a little late, that really may not understand or be familiar with what I'm about to share with you guys. Because I'm sure some that are watching is going to come in and say, try to say that these name stealers or the 1948ers are the true people. All right, so let's go ahead and knock this down real quick. Let's knock it down with their own sources. Let's fast forward here. All right. So they know who they are and who they are not. Let me say that again. They know who they are and who they are not. This is coming from the Times of Israel. Leaked report. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact, Khazars' secret plan for reverse migration to Ukraine, March 18th, 2014. Now, this is a little quote from it. It is well known that sometimes in the 8th to 9th centuries, the Khazars, a warlike Turkic people, converted to Judaism and ruled over a vast domain in what became southern Russia and Ukraine. All right. So again, this is coming from the leaked report. The source leaked report. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact, Khazars' secret plan for reverse migration to Ukraine. This is that article. If you go there now, this is what you're going to see. You'll see this article here. So let me copy this link here, and I want to show you why this article is rather alarming, if I could get it get this link in here. Yeah, I think I'll be able to get in. I want to drop this inside the comment section so that way you guys can see why this is off. All right, I see Sister Carol is back. Let me bring her in to see if she's good. This is the link I'm going to read from. And I'm going to show you some red flags here. All right, sis, you good?
Yeah, I went to my laptop this time, so what's going on with the phone situation?
Okay. All right, you made me pull in, kind of reach into my shepherd's bag while you were going. And so what I'm doing right now, just to show the people that they know that they're not the people of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I just dropped a link in the comment section of this article that says leak report. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact, Khazars, secret plan for reverse migration to Ukraine. And so when I went to this article, when I initially saw this article, I saw that this was a red flag because it says here, editor's note, this blog post is a work of satire. It was published in 2014 on the eve of Purim, a Jewish holiday that is celebrated with wild merrymaking and raucous comedy, with a particular emphasis on poking fun at anti-Semitism and ignorance.
Wow.
When I saw this, I said, wait a minute. No, that doesn't make no sense.
None.
They would have had this article taken down.
Exactly.
So I had to go back in time to get to the original site. Went to the way back. Right. So let's go to another key thing that I highlighted here is the date of this article. As you see here, March. Where is it? Yeah, March 28th, 2014. Right. So let's but this caption was added on February 28th, 2022. Right. Let's see here. This was added on February 8th, 2022. Right. This is not originally there. So you got like an 8-year period when they decided to add this on there and say that it's satire. So what's the significance of February 28th, 2022? Well, family, here's the significance of it. U.S. News. Russia invades Ukraine. A timeline of the crisis. February 24th, 2022. Is it a coincidence that this article is dated about a confession that the 1948ers confessed that they are actually connected to the Khazars and that they were working on a reverse migration to occupy Ukraine? But then we see this article in 2022 say that suddenly that this is satire 8 years later from the original article. And this is proof here. February 24th, 2022, the world watches, right, as Russia invades its neighboring country, Ukraine. And it goes on to say, these are the major events that led to the crisis. Okay, so the Israel of Time leak report, right? Let's go to that original article. Israel acknowledges Jews, in fact, Khazars, secret plan for reverse migration to Ukraine, March 18th, 2014. This is the original article right here. And guess what? You don't see that caption there. Any comments, sis?
Covered it up. They didn't want that to be known.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They try to cover all bases.
Yeah.
And then even when they try to cover all bases, they still get exposed.
Exactly. There's
something else I can say.
Yeah.
But it's true. They did have ruckus going on. So the ruckus was they were doing this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And family, this is what this article says. a warlike Turkic people, and a mystery. So referring to these people, the 1948ers, being descendants of a warlike Turkic people, which are the Khazars. It is well known that sometime in the 8th century, the 8th to 9th centuries, the Khazars, a warlike Turkic people, converted to Judaism and ruled over a vast domain in what became southern Russia and Ukraine. What happened to them after the Russians destroyed that empire around the 11th century has been a mystery. It's not a mystery. Many have speculated that the Khazars became the ancestors of the Ashkenazis or the Ashkenazi Jews. Arabs have long cited the Khazar hypothesis in attempting to deny a Jewish historical claim to the land. Now, you're going to notice how some of the sources I share here, they try to say that they're not. That, hey, that's just, it's not true. But they still go on to confirm that the original women that these people descend from, that they're European converts.
Wow. But still doesn't link them to the bloodline.
Exactly. And look at this here, right? Now, this is the sarcasm you see here. I'll read the sarcasm inside the article. During the UN debate over Palestine partition, Chaim Weizmann responded sarcastically, "It is very strange. All my life, I have been a Jew, felt like a Jew. And I now learn that I am a Khazar." In a more folksy vein, Prime Minister Golda Meir famously said, "Khazar smazar. There is no Khazar people. I knew no Khazars in Kiev or Milwaukee. Show me these Khazars of whom you speak." All right. So again, quote from this article: Israel seems finally to have thrown in the towel. A blue ribbon team of scholars from leading research institutions and museums have just issued a secret report to the government acknowledging that European Jews are in fact Khazars. And that is coming from this article here. Back at this same article, speaking off the record, he explained, "We first thought that admitting we are really Khazars was one way to get around Abbas' insistence that no Jew can remain in a Palestinian state." So he even say here that they admitted being Khazars. Any comments, sis?
No one, they can say that because they know no one will challenge it.
Yeah.
Because we're so blinded by what they've already pushed that they can say whatever and we won't believe it. And if anyone does challenge it and say, "Oh, look, they admit there's this," well, they're still God's chosen people, and that's what they'll follow along with.
Yeah.
Put the truth on your face, and they won't grab it.
Yeah. And look at this here. Ukrainian invitation for the Jews to return was a godsend. So think about it. Return, that means that they were already here. They were already in Ukraine. That's originally there. They asked them to what? Return.
Correct. And why didn't they return? Why did they need some new land? That's the part that didn't make any sense to me.
Well, with that oil that's in, that's in Northeast Africa, that horn, that oil is very valuable.
Of course it is.
The oil, the gas in that area.
So they're busy exterminating the land so they can have all that land and all that resides with it.
Absolutely. And I'm going to drop this link here. I see my cousin Benaya in the building.
Yeah,
so,
see him.
Benaya, I'm going to drop this link if you want to jump in. If you want to jump on, feel free to do so. All right. So as you pointed out, sis, why did they not want to return? Remember, I did a lesson on showing that these 1948ers have a Jewish state in Russia.
Right.
You know, I mean, how is that possible? Have a Jewish states in Russia? I mean, basically, if they had their way, Texas would be a Jewish state.
Exactly.
Remember that? A lot of people don't know that.
Yep,
They was
I know.
targeting Texas to be a Jewish state within this country.
Exactly. Not me. I guess it will be exterminating me out of the state.
We got Benaiah here. Peace and blessings, Benaiah.
Hey, peace and blessings, cuz. Hopefully everyone's doing well. You doing okay, Sister Carol?
Yes, peace and blessing, brother. How you doing?
All is well. All is well. But that's an excellent point you brought up, Pastor Kelly, with jubilees. I mean, that's perfect, because the fact that they cannot honor that, because they know if they honor that, they would have to give that land up.
Exactly.
That is perfect. Absolutely perfect.
That's the gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, you know how we are. We always in our peaky in the brain mode. And I was just, just thinking about, the things that we planning, because we planning out our feast days, as far as the Day of Atonement and all that. And I just was thinking about, it's like, you know what? I don't recall them ever celebrating jubilees. And researching it, it's like, wow, okay, nope, they never have, and they have it in their Talmud not to celebrate it.
Right.
Wow. And then a lot of the things that they've tried to do to try to defend their, them being the people, because of course, when like we pointed out, you went over this a long time ago, Pastor Kelly, where you talked about the Khazars and about how of course nowadays you hear things like, well, we debunked that. Well, no, you didn't. and the reason why they haven't debunked it is because of what I call two things, and that is, one is that DNA report, and I'm pretty sure you got the slides on that, Pastor Kelly. But the DNA report, I believe, was done by somebody that's like in Israel, where they were able to track down the progenitors of the present day Ashkenazi.
Oh, yeah.
And they tracked them down to what was like 300 people.
Yeah.
And they were over in Rome, Italy, or something like that. And based off of that report, they were able to, if you kind of dug down into the details of the report, they actually broke down the haplogroups of that the founding fathers of the Ashkenaz, so to speak. And those founding DNA groups were people from the Caucasus Mountains. They weren't from people from from the Middle East, so to speak. At least one of the groups. I think they said there was like two groups. One group came from they traced back to the Caucasus Mountains, and I forgot about that. The second group was from like Turkey. So go back on what I said earlier, but they went back to like founding in Turkey or Iran or something like that. And so that it spoke to two things. One is that there is a major contingent in their own group that is certified, identified of belonging to the Caucasus Mountains, which is that oddly enough, right around that Ukraine region, because that's right where the founding group is from. When you look up the territory of the Khazars, they come right from that Ukrainian region, and it's no coincidence that you have issues in Ukraine and you have issues over in the land that they call Israel today. Because those are the same people.
I'm trying to find that presentation. You know how you got so many, and early on I just was terrible with how my naming convention.
Cataloging.
Yeah, I'm terrible with it. It's like, man, I'm trying to figure out like how did I even come up with some of the names?
Yeah.
You know how you just rush to do certain presentations. I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm going to locate this one. But let me see. I think I may have it.
Yeah, I think I might have it too. Because you did an awesome presentation on that. Because in that article, and that, of course, that article was picked up by other periodicals, where they were all saying the same thing, and that is they found the founding group of today's Ashkenazi, and they were able to track it down to this group that was in Italy/Rome. And I'm trying to remember the date and the time frame. I want to say it was around like 900 AD or something like that. And then based off of that, you could confirm, using DNA where these guys came from.
Yeah.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt. So the whole notion that the Khazar hypothesis has been debunked, that is totally, totally false. In these that most recent report, proves it.
Yeah, if you want to pull that up, since you mentioned it, how they said the first one said it did it. If you want to pull that up and show it to the people, that'd be good, because I'm trying to locate it. And you know how we got to do on the safe side when we mention certain things. It's good to pull up the sources just so that way.
Oh, totally.
They can't try to flag the video, but when you pull up their sources showing, hey, we're quoting from their articles and all, it makes it harder for them to try to flag the video.
Yep.
And I know I had it. I just can't remember what I named it. I mean, were we dealing with Dr. Brown at that time?
Yep, Dr. Brown. We were dealing with, and it's funny, he's kind of made a couple of videos. He's been missing in action lately, but he's made a couple of videos about. Well, I'm not sure if you had it on, talked about it on your channel. But yeah, of course, he tries to make an appearance every now and then, talking about Black Hebrew Israelites and stuff like that, and Deuteronomy 28. He has the craziest defenses for his position. Because I remember when I first came across his channel, but one of the things I picked up was he was offering like I think it was like a class, some sort of academic class where they were supposed to be reviewing the using their terms, the Sephardic Jews, right? And then part of it, he was kind of going over the syllabus, for the course. And he was saying things like, oh yeah, we're going to talk about how when they were scattered from Spain and Portugal, they went up to France and they went over to England and they went over to all these different places. And the one place that he did not mention in his syllabus that he was going to cover was that the fact that they went to Africa. And in fact, that's where arguably the majority of them went over into Africa, right? But he just he chose specifically not to review that in his class, and to me that spoke volumes to the lack of authenticity in his course, because that's what these guys do. Whenever they're trying to hide the truth, they omit key chapters and passages and stuff out of history in order to help maintain their lie. And I think you got it. You found it. You pulled it up.
I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw Ukraine. I thought you.
Oh no, that's yeah. I didn't find it yet. I was gonna say, did I find it? Like, did I accidentally put something up?
Okay, I was gonna give you some props on that.
I know I have it because we covered this a few times, but it's just when you don't touch on something in a while, you kind of forget, and it goes out of your cache, because Dr. Brown kind of went into irrelevancy, with his whole situation. I'm not sure if you're aware what he had to deal with, the legal stuff of him, violating, some young women that worked at his ministry.
Yep.
So he kind of disappeared, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find them, cuz unless you have it, that'll be good. I thought I had it.
Yeah, I'm looking as well. I'm trying to pull it up.
Let's see here. I know I have it. I just can't remember the name of it. Let's see here.
Yeah, just like you were saying, I have multiple PowerPoint slides. So just trying to find that can be challenging sometimes.
Blame Sister Carol.
Not. We're gonna blame Jay Highstyle.
Is
He
it
did
this
it.
conference one? Let me see. Maybe this one here. Let me see here. I just cannot remember it.
Look.
Yeah, I can't find it, man. I'm gonna have to really go through this stuff and really start renaming my stuff to make sure I know where everything is.
I think I found it. Let me see.
Uh-oh.
Yes, indeed. under the title Esau.
Oh wow. Well, that's a difficult subject title.
Right. And actually, it's a PowerPoint. So let me see if I can start the PowerPoint slide, because I know you showed me, Pastor Kelly, that if you're in the presentation mode, you can zoom in. So I'll do that just in case the letters are small, and then I'll see if I can share screen. Let's see here. Okay.
All right, let me remove this.
Okay. And this was the article we were talking about, or that I was talking about earlier, and that Pastor Kelly, you covered this as well. But this just talks about the Ashkenazi founder group, and this was a scientific study that was done. And again, they were able to discover the founding group of the present day Ashkenazi. And they were able to, when they took a look at the DNA, they were able to, separate these groups into two groups. Now, I misspoke when I said that they did not go back to the Middle East. But I guess the correct thing to say is that one of the groups went back or traced back to the Caucasus Mountains, and the other was over in the Middle East. However, the one that was over in the Middle East, and let me see, I think I have the groups captured in here. Here we go. These are the groups, and you see where it says, let's see, of course, Eastern European, which is Russia. In the Middle East, it says Druze, Egyptians, Bedouins, Palestinians, Lebanese, Jordanians, and Saudis. The following two sources: Southern European, Middle Eastern. Yeah, so basically one was over, it looks like one was over in the Russian area, and the other was over in this Egyptian, Bedouins, Palestinians, Lebanese, Jordanians, Syrians, or Saudis. Yeah, and notice it doesn't say, the Israeli. It doesn't go back. It's naming all the other groups except for the one that they're claiming to be a part of. And this was the founding group, the haplogroup. I guess this is the Y haplogroups, which is the DNA group of all the males, and you can see it here. You can see R1B1A. So R1B1A traces back to the Caucasus. I want to say that J1A as well, but I know for sure that R1B1A, that's why I have it highlighted in green. And then the one group that does go back to the Middle East is this E1B1B, Esau, which is also part of this founding group. So that's why when we take a look at the at that list, you'll see that it goes back to those two groups. Oh, well, I had quite a bit in here. This is an old slide deck. Yeah, this is about Esau, and then this is the territory of the Caucasus Mountains I was telling you about. It's right between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and of course, they have these caves in the mountainside. So they love those caves, all up in the Georgia area in the Caucasus Mountains. They love those caves. And again, this is the Caucasus Mountain area, and this is kind of zoomed out, but again, between the Caspian and the Black Sea. And this is just the flow of DNA in that region, where they're kind of right in this Caucasus Mountain area. This is kind of like where that R1B1A group is from. So, but yeah, just needless to say, family, there's a lot of information that actually ties them to that area, to the Caucasus Mountains. It is, it's my personal belief that they're composed of two groups, just like you saw that DNA, and that is one, a portion of them is Japhet, Ashkenaz, because Ashkenaz in your scripture is, descendant of Japhet, and then you also have the descendants of Esau mixed in with them, and which explains the profile that we see when we look at their DNA, when you see them show or trace back to different places. But I know you're probably still looking for yours, aren't you?
I think I found a couple of slides here.
Okay.
I'm gonna copy this over because I think you remember this when they were not giving the full details here.
Yeah.
And I think this is around that time with Dr. Brown, as well as this guy called himself, by the name of Rabbi Abraham.
Okay.
He was trying to throw shots at the Limba.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. I'm gonna copy this over. I found it. I think I found it. I think this is what you were referring to. Let me paste it real quick.
Yeah.
Family, we've been putting in work here.
Yeah, well, it's just that the people in that area in the Caucasus Mountains, they were known, like the Khazars were known for a certain look. And they were known for like blue eyes, red hair, and you would see that over time. You saw that even during the time of the Roman Empire, and you also saw that. I think even Josephus mentioned it as well. But blue eyes, red hair. There was the Scythians, the Khazarians, and oh man, what was the other one? Cuz
you had the Scythians. Well, the Scythians going a number of different groups, but you also had the Jots. You had the what's the other one? The Poland.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one?
Oh, I know. Yeah, the Scythians, the Khazarians, and the Yamnaya.
Okay.
Yeah, the Yamnaya were all in that same area, and they all had the same look: blue eyes, red hair.
They be considered the Vikings.
Yeah, the Norsemen or the Northmen.
The Norsemen.
Yeah. And they still fell up under the Scythians. They were just referred to as the Scythian the Jots. The Scythians, they were just like the glue to everybody. But now you probably remember this. This one, ancient DNA provides new insight into Ashkenazi Jewish history.
Yeah.
About half of Jewish people around the world today identify as Ashkenazi, meaning that they descended from Jews who lived in Central or Eastern Europe. The term was initially used to define a distinct cultural group of Jews who settled in the 10th century in the Rhineland in West Germany. Despite much speculation, many gaps exist in our understanding of the origin of Ashkenazi Jews and the demographics upheavals they experienced during the second millennium. To answer some of these pressing questions. The 30-person team, led by Shai Karmi at the Hebrew University, go figure, right, and David Reich at HMS, analyzed DNA from the remains of 33 individuals buried in a medieval Jewish cemetery in Erfurt, Germany. Erfurt's medieval Jewish community existed between 11th and 15th century, short gap following a massacre in 1349. At times, it thrived and was one of the largest Jewish communities in Germany. Following the expulsion of all Jews in 1454, the city built a granary on the top of Jewish cemeteries. And then this is one that still ties into it. Ancient DNA provides new insight into Ashkenazi Jewish history. The Hebrew University of Jerusalem Communication. That's still the same one. But then it goes into, let me see here. I think you pointed that out too. The analysis reveals two distinct subgroups within the remains. One with greater Middle Eastern ancestry. We know this is all bogus, but which may represent the Jews with origins in West Germany, and another with greater Eastern and Central European ancestry. The modern Ashkenazi population formed as a mix of these groups and absorbed little to no outside genetic influences over 600 years. You remember this one, Cuz?
Yeah, that was an excellent article, and that's the reason why, no one can anyone that says the Khazarian hypothesis has been debunked, that's totally false, because of this report, this study that came out in 2022. I think that's the date on it.
Yeah. This is one right here that you're referring to too.
Yep.
Genome-wide data from medieval German Jews show that the Ashkenazi foundry event predated the 14th century. Ashkenazi Jews emerged as a distinctive ethno-religious cultural group in the Rhineland in 10th century. Since then, the Ashkenazi Jewish population substantially, both geographically, first to Eastern Europe. Results historical and archaeological content community engagement in the sample collection. The first Jewish community of Erfurt was the oldest in Thuringia, excuse me if I butcher this. And the cemetery also served nearby towns during, it goes on to say, during the 1349 pogrom, most Jews of Erfurt and nearby communities were murdered or expelled. I wish that part though. The individuals we study were buried in southwestern part of medieval Jewish cemeteries. Is this the section? I know it's one of these. I think this is it. No, I can't remember because I thought I had it.
Yeah, but you brought it up, and that's the individuals sort of were buried in. Yeah, I think you already spoke about it.
Yeah, it was another one too. Matter of fact, I think I have it here. I copied this one in here too. I think I missed something. I think I was looking for this too. Where is it? If I could pull it up.
Yeah, family. Like this is why, it's illegal to for them to run DNA or take DNA tests in Israel today, because just like what this report, proves out, that they have one group has ties to the Caucasus Mountains. I mean, when they take that DNA test, if they go to 23andMe or if they go to Ancestry, DNA.com, and they run that test, all it's going to do, family, is back up what this report that Pastor Kelly was showing already proved out. So this is why it's illegal for them to take a DNA test.
And matter of fact, this is what I think. This is the other one that the one that really slam dunks it as well. Matter of fact, let me pull this other one here. I believe this slam dunks it. Got me going into the milk crates here. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I think this is it. I'm going to paste this right here. All right, let me make sure I'm in the right. Yeah, let me paste that right here. All right, now starting with DNA ties Ashkenazi Jews to group of just 330 people from the Middle Ages. And initially, this is from the LA Times. It says here, so says a new study of the journal Nature Communication and international teams of scientists sequenced the complete genomes of 128 healthy Ashkenazi Jews and compared each of those sequences to the with others, as well as with the DNA of 26 Flemish people from Belgium. Their analysis allowed them to trace the genetic roots of this population to a founding group in the Middle Ages. Ashkenaz in Hebrew refers to Germany. Ashkenazi Jews are those who originated in Eastern Europe. And this is what they were pulling from. This article here, sequencing the Ashkenazi reference panel supports population targeted personal genomics and illuminates Jewish and European origins. But this is what they were referring to. Ashkenazi Jewish population is a genetic isolate close to European and Middle Eastern groups with genetically diversity patterns conducive to disease mapping. Here we report a depth sequencing 128 complete genomes of Ashkenazi Jews compared with European samples. And Ashkenazi Jews panel has 47% more novel variants. But yeah, because this is it right here. Some of the additional reports to kind of bring home just what you pointed out. Now, this one says 350 individuals versus 330, but it's still in the same vicinity.
Yep. And what I like to do as well is kind of look at these reports and these studies over, in sequence. Because, of course, when some of these reports came out, then, of course, there were denials. And people tried to refute it, and they had some sort of counter report. And so it kind of went back and forth, especially, as you're looking at it through, the sequence of time. But it culminates up to that last one that we saw, which was in 2022, where, of course, they did the research again, and they're looking at a different set of DNA groups. Of people running their sequence, and they find the same thing that they found in 2014, which was, these people have traces back to the Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah. And further going with the DNA family, look, this is coming from Kazaria.com. The Norway Project, most common Y-DNA, in other words, paternal haplogroups are I1, R1A, R1B1, and N. Now that's important. Why? Because look who shares this DNA haplogroup. I'll just play it real quick. It's a short clip.
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y-DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
So to your point, because they telling on themselves.
Yep.
They are telling on themselves.
Well, it's going to tell you it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
I'm not playing that clip, sis. I know what you're trying to do. I know what you're trying to do.
It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just.
She's trying to egg me on.
Right. Come on, Pastor.
I'm doing it for you. It just doesn't matter, especially my guy with his arms going. Yeah.
But that's what this is important, because they know, these 1948ers, they know that they're not the people of the book. That's why they're not celebrating Jubilees.
Mm-hmm.
They celebrate Jubilees because Jubilees, again, it means that they have to return whatever territories, whatever properties that they have, because they're indigenous to the area.
That's right. A bunch of gypsies. That's what they are.
Yeah, committing all sorts of debauchery in that
Mm-hmm.
in that land.
That's right.
So it definitely has to be clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. That's why I wanted to, do this live, because I was on the fence on which discussion I was going to do, and I thought about it. It's like, you know what, this may be a good time to touch on this, being that Day of Atonement is coming up, and especially everything that we see going on over there, because they're doing some crazy stuff over in that territory. You're seeing people kids being starved, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Wow. Having drop zones or whatever, or should I say places for the people to go get food from, and only for many of them being going there just to basically meet their death, be gunned down, trying to get food, starving and all that. So if there's, supposedly honoring the Torah, the law, statutes, and commandments, then their behavior would be totally different.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, they wouldn't even have the land anymore.
Right.
Yep. And that. Go ahead, Sister Carol.
I said they wouldn't even be there.
Yep. And this is why a lot of people are waking up to the fact that, hey, they're saying the exact same thing that you're saying, Pastor Kelly. They're like, wait a minute, your behavior doesn't quite add or line up with the children of Israel in the scriptures.
That's right.
If you're the Most High's holy chosen people, like Pastor Kelly said, why are you ambushing, women and children going to get something to eat? I don't, see the children of Israel doing stuff like that. Not in my book. So,
yeah.
They're getting found out for sure.
Yeah. Well, guys, I could barely keep my eyes open.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm about to take it down because we got a function tomorrow at 12:30 at the park. But really appreciate it, and I am going to, Jay Highstyle, we definitely gonna pray for you, man. I see that you're on bed rest, so we definitely praying your strength, man. So definitely understand you're not coming on. I'll definitely reach out to you for sure. I know we haven't talked in a while, so I'll be reaching out to you. All right. And since Sister Carol and you guys insist, I will go ahead and play the link if I have it here. Hey, this is for Sister Carol.
Yeah.
And for some of those that have requested me to play it.
Let me get ready.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
And Sister Carol, I was about to show you dancing in the background. She dancing, she getting it in.
She got the arms too. Yep, she got the arms.
The funny part is the last guy shaking his head, looking at him, shaking their head like, these people.
And somebody asked me to give them the meow, so I give them the meow too.
Too funny.
So I got one more I got to add. I sent that one to you, Sister Carol, with the boy playing with the pedal or with whatever, the water at the well, and that handle hit him in the head.
I haven't. Oh, yes, you did. You did send me that.
Yeah. I got to put that one in here. But yeah, family. This is why, again, I know it may sound so simple, and it is simple when we talk about the feast days being a sign. When you can really unpack a lot of the deception and flaws in these doctrines when you start with that feast day, when you start with the Shabbat rather. And again, most of you guys may not know this. None of this so-called Abrahamic faiths honor Shabbat. Islam does not honor Shabbat. Christian Catholic Church, they don't honor Shabbat. Nope. And we proved here that the 1948ers, they don't honor Shabbat. They don't honor Shabbat because if they're honoring jubilees and also the 7th year Shabbat, they have to honor the other Shabbats to get there. Mm-hmm. So this is clearly showing the identity theft, showing that they are not who they say they are. If they were honoring these again, they are supposed to relinquish that land. Any properties that they have, they're supposed to relinquish. If they have anyone incarcerated, enslaved, guess what? They are supposed to relinquish, let them go. Outside of criminals.
Right. Ain't gonna happen. They're not gonna do it.
So, but with that being said, we'll start with you, Sister Carol. Any final words, and then Benai, you could share any final words after Sister Carol, and we're just gonna call it a wrap because, like I said, I could barely keep my eyes open. I don't want to reveal any family secrets.
Just keep focused on what's going on around us. So much happening here, over there, everywhere, and just be prepared for anything. Stay cautious. Keep your head on the swivel, if you will, and stay prayed up. Remember, we have to endure all of this, but just pay attention.
That's right. No rapture.
Oh man, yeah, gotta do the rapture. Rapture dance. You gotta get your rapture dance together. You should be practicing that now.
Yeah, I would play some clips, but I had to take it out because YouTube start flagging it. I was like, man, they flagging this, especially my one with the Buster Rhymes rapping real fast. You got the preacher dancing. Yeah. I can't play that anymore. They start flagging
I sent you a video on the rapture teaching rapture classes that teach you how to do the rapture dances.
Yeah, I had to peep that out. I have to peep
800 number at the end that you can pay for the classes.
Wow.
So there you have it, cuz. Any final words you want to share? I know you're about to release your book. I saw the video you uploaded earlier, might as well say yesterday. And you had the the commercial on it, kind of like the advertisement for your book. Anything you want to share as we get ready to wrap it up?
Yeah, book Most High Willing will be available or released on the 3rd, which is next Sunday. So not today, but next weekend, Most High Willing. And it'll be through of course Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Should be worldwide, actually, in South Africa, Brazil, UK, and everything. So Most High Willing, I will do a live leading up to it, maybe on Friday or on Thursday. But just looking forward to it, family.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Praise be to the Most High. It's been a journey. It's been a journey for sure.
That's a blessing journey.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But definitely have some revelations in that book as well that have not been released to Israel at large. Things such as the family crest of the Negro. Also go over some of the organizations, the Israelite organizations that were formed immediately after slavery. Some people may not, or a lot of people aren't aware of that, but yes, they were specific Israelite organizations that were formed at that point. And also I also go over a description using old references of the people that actually loaded you on the slave ships, and you will be shocked of the description. And I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, but peace and blessings, family. Thanks, Pastor Kelly. Thanks, Sister Carol, and get some rest. Get some rest.
Man, what's the name of your book? I'm sorry.
Black History Case Files. I actually have two books. One is Black History Case Files, which is coming out this, like I said, this Sunday, and the other is Who Are the Biblical Israelites?
Okay.
That one is going to come out a little bit later in August, and that's just a small booklet, but that's it.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. I got a book coming out, but you know, it'll be out in probably about 2 or 3 years.
That sounded like me last year.
No, congratulations, cuz you know, great accomplishment. Looking forward to purchasing the books, and you know, just looking forward to it. You know, some solid information that's being disseminated to the people. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. With that being said, family, really appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. In the words of Yahweh that he gave to Moses in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14, he said, "Fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, they will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you." But here's the kicker, family. We must hold our peace. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was the... Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.